Obviously, this pretty clip is regarding black charter schools, and I believe it's information that needs to get out there.
When the charter school movement began, skeptics said public charter schools would serve a more advantaged, less diverse student population than traditional public schools, but that hasn't been the case. During the 2014-2015 school year, nearly 500,000 black students were enrolled in charter schools, and more than 500,000 Hispanic students were enrolled in charter schools. And in addition to that, charter schools are serving 56% of students from low-income families compared to 52% of their peers at public schools across the country. Studies show that studies that examine long-term outcomes like high school graduation, college attendance, and future earnings for charter school students consistently find significant positive effects. A 2011 study by Mathematica examined high school students in Chicago and Florida who were enrolled in charter schools in 8th grade and then either enrolled in a charter or district-run public school for high school. The study found that compared to their peers who switched to a district-run public high school, charter high school students were more likely to graduate by 7 to 15 percentage points, more likely to enroll in college by 8 to 10 percentage points. So, what's the difference between the various charter schools out there? Well, charter schools can be independent, single-site schools, or they can be part of a network of schools run by a management organization. These management organizations are typically nonprofit and are referred to as charter management organizations, or CMOs. Some states allow for-profit companies to manage charter schools, and these are referred to as education management organizations, or EMOs. Folks, the numbers don't lie, and that is, stats are showing that our children are very much attending charter schools. In fact, a study we did right here at TV1, you can go to RolandSMartin.com and see it, nearly 80% of black parents said they would certainly enroll their kids in charter schools and even support vouchers. And so we want to talk about that. Joining us right now to discuss this, Dr. Karen Thomas. She is founder and CEO of Marion P. Thomas Charter School in Newark, New Jersey, and Anna Potts, Chief Executive Officer of Camino Nuevo Charter Academy in Los Angeles. And I want to start this way, because what often happens is, and I've been very much a supporter of every form of education as long as it works, including charter schools. There's an assumption that, oh my goodness, the folks who are behind charter schools are these rich billionaires who are white, who want to take all of this public money. And the fact of the matter is, there are a number of folks who are African American, who are Latino, who are individuals who are tied with nonprofits, who are running charter schools, and that is not some big conspiracy for rich white folks to take money out of education.
So Marion P. Thomas Charter School was started out of a church in Newark, New Jersey, where parishioners put up $1 million of their own money, baking cakes, frying chicken, and taking money out of their pockets to say, we need to improve education in the city of Newark. They also donated land, which we just built a brand new high school on. So this school is a community-based school out of the hearts and the philanthropy of the African American community in Newark, New Jersey.
And details about your school.
Sure. Camino Nuevo Charter Academy was also started with a grassroots movement from parents and community members that just wanted a neighborhood school. And so back in 1999, when Los Angeles was impacted by overcrowding, parents just wanted a school that they could send their kids to, where they could walk to school. And they were assisted by the founder, Philip Lance, who helped them organize and bring about this dream of having a neighborhood school that became Camino Nuevo Charter Academy. We started with one school. Now we have 8 schools serving 3,500 kids in the general community, and we are very much considered a community-based school as well.
And are your schools public charter schools?
Absolutely.
Because again, we hear back and forth this whole idea of private charter schools versus public, where nearly everyone is actually a public charter school.
We are a public charter school that is funded through state funding, and then with the state funding in New Jersey, we do not receive facilities funding, and so we have had to raise funds. And
hold on, stop right there so people understand. So even though you are a public charter school, you don't get state funds for facilities, even though the traditional schools, they get funds to be able to build buildings and things along those lines. So so the amount of money that you get, is it for the student, and that money can't be used for the building?
Exactly.
And you get how much per pupil?
So in New Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey, the average per pupil funding is about $10,000 to $12,000. But I also have to have an extra line that doesn't go directly to the classroom, but has to go to facilities because of the way the funding law was written in New Jersey. And then 10% of that $10,000 to $12,000 goes back to the sending district as an administrative fee. So I get about 90% funding with no facilities fees in New Jersey.
Well, one of the things that I hear from a lot of people who are critics, and they say, well, if you look at the overall stats, kids are not, it's pretty much the same. Failure rate is the same, success rate is the same.
Well, I mean, I can speak to Camino Nuevo. I mean, in the community where we are, you know, it's a community that has historically not been successful in graduating a lot of our students. And when Camino Nuevo opened, the graduation rate was hovering about 40% in that community. And Camino Nuevo has come in, and we have between 98 and 100% of our students graduating every year. All of our students graduate meeting the minimum college entry requirement for the public schools in the state of California. And we're definitely demonstrating that the zip code does not define the potential of our students, and that this can happen at any school if we provide the right learning environment for our kids.
And last year we graduated our first 12th grade class at Marion P. Thomas, and Newark is graduating close to around 50%, a little bit less than 50%. We had an 88% graduation rate, which was the highest charter school rate in the city of Newark.
Now, what also jumps out, again, when we have these conversations that I think is important, and that is, I look at who is controlling the education of our children. And I hear a lot of people always talk about that. You know, we need to control the education of our own kids. And the reality is, when you are a charter school operator, you're actually doing that. You're actually, I hear people say, you know, we need more Black history, you know, in schools. Well, if you create your own curriculum, you can actually create that. Also, one of the things that I've encouraged Black fraternities and sororities, I said, look, I mean, we got these mentoring programs, and that's all great and well. I said, but if we're helping 15, 18 kids, that's one thing, but imagine if you literally were able to deal with 300, 400, 500 kids over the course of 9 months. That's a whole different way of shaping and forming the next generation. So that's one of the reasons why I keep saying to Black folks, Latinos as well, stop complaining about charter schools and realize there's an educational opportunity here that we could not get to literally control the education of our children in traditional public schools.
I think you're exactly right on target. One of the things that we've done is our high school is a performing and culinary arts school. So it's a focus on careers. And so while we are preparing every child to go to college, we're taking two things that are intrinsic in our community, that are celebrated, and using them across all of our curriculum, cooking and the performing arts. And there's lots of studies that talk about how the performing arts help to enhance your core content subject areas. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that the charter option allows us to do is to have that autonomy and flexibility to be responsive to community needs. And we can actually tailor the program that we offer to the needs of our community and change it and do course corrections as needed and still stay very connected to what our students need and what the needs of the community are.
And one of the things that, first and foremost, pull this graphic up, please. States with at least 300 charter schools. California leads with 1,234. Texas is second at 734. Florida at 656. Arizona at 535. Ohio at 373. One of the things, and the last question for you, one of the things that I have said to charter school advocates is to stop making excuses for failure. I make it clear. I don't support a traditional school that's failing. I don't support a charter school that's failing our kids. My deal is, if they're failing, shut them down or have someone who can go in and who knows how to operate it. And so I'm not afraid to talk about accountability, and I think that's one of the things in the charter school movement. There's this fear of, well, if we talk about that, well, then that may slow down the movement. But the problem is failure can actually kill the movement more than anything else.
I think accountability is very important, and I agree with you, Roland. I think that there has to be accountability across the board, and particularly in charter schools. I think we do have to have multiple measures, and I think when we're looking at community schools, the academic measures need to be very solid, and we need to be held accountable to those, but it's also how we get there. And some communities need different things, and I think what a lot of minority-led organizations offer is really a more comprehensive approach to supporting not just the students, but their families, in really counteracting the negative environmental factors that our kids face on a daily basis. So I absolutely agree with you on accountability and having very high standards and expectations for charter schools, but there also needs to be multiple measures.
And not just high accountability for the schools, but high accountability for everybody who works there, for the student achievement, is absolutely critical.
Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much, and good luck with the schools there. So, and how many students in your school?
1,500.
1,500?
3,500.
3,500. All right, then. We'll appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Works for
folks,
me.
Coming up, education.